We can hear this hour. The MK party has filed a motion of no confidence against President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, the MK party's chief whip, Colleen Makhubele, joins us for more on this conversation. Colleen, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. Now, let's start here. I mean, there was a bit of drama this week when it comes to your party in Parliament, and that follows the voting of that appropriations bill. And you said that initially that your party voted for the bill to be passed, but later that was reversed. And do you maintain that there was a bit of confusion from your party's end in terms of what exactly you were voting for?
Good evening, Bali, and good evening to the listeners out there. Thank you again for having me. Yeah, we had a very good time on Wednesday in Parliament. MK party is very clear. We are not supporting the budget of the GNU. We have voted against it. At the last appropriations bill schedule that was presented, the presiding officer actually made an error when he announced the last report. He said we are going to the fifth report, which is the fifth order. And I knew that that is the report that deals with the establishing of the ad hoc committee for the Mkhwanazi allegations to investigate all those allegations. And while I was now preparing the member of MK who was going to represent it and speak on that particular report, and I needed for him to make sure that our constituencies at home understand why we are supporting this report. So I called him to have a discussion with him. While I was doing that, the presiding officer was then corrected on his error by the table to say, no, we are not done actually with the appropriations report. We must go back to report number 4. But I didn't get that because I was already in conversation with Honorable Nomvalo. And so when they called for the vote, in my mind, we are discussing the Mkhwanazi report, and that's why we supported it. But later, when one of my members came and told me to say, oh, Chief Whip, we actually have gone back to the report number 4, which is the second reading of the appropriations bill. Then we changed our vote. And Bali, it's not something that is out of the normal, unusual. There's Rule 117 in Parliament, where if there's an error or there's a confusion in a vote, you can actually go back and change your vote. It has happened before with motions of no confidence. Sometimes it's even difficult to hear the presiding officer because there's noise, there's excitement in the House generally with debates, etc. And if you miss it, you can always go back and correct your vote. So there's nothing untoward. It's just that everybody was focusing on that moment when we were supporting, and the whole House got excited naturally. And once that was corrected, you know, not a lot of people watched the rest of the proceedings, but as MK party, we did not vote for that budget. We'll never vote for a budget that does not address the needs of our people and our communities and doesn't address the harsh conditions of unemployment and fixing what is wrong with our country.
Yeah, and Colleen, moving on now to something else that you have filed as the MK party is indeed a motion of no confidence against President Cyril Ramaphosa. And this really follows that press briefing we saw from KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and basically the handling of the president in terms of Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu, who's now been placed under a leave of absence. Maybe just give us an insight. Who are you speaking to in Parliament to ensure that should this motion be brought to the House, that it will succeed?
There are two things. Perhaps let me start with that. This motion is not only focusing on the General Mkhwanazi failure of the president to handle it correctly. There's about 5 grounds that we have based this motion on, and it comes from a litany of issues that we've collected from our constituencies and even those that we work with. One, it's really the failure in governance. You look at what's happening everywhere in the municipalities, failure in infrastructures, hospitals, police, SABC, everything is collapsing. Number 2 is the accountability, lack thereof. Starting first with the president himself, coming from Phala to the CR17, funders and backers, accountability of even his ministers, exactly what you're talking about. Senzo Mchunu should have been fired. We've got the Minister of Justice who was shifted to be Minister of Human Settlements. And the only sacrificial lamb, the soft target, was the Minister of Higher Education, who's a woman who was removed. But a whole lot of ministers, they are tainted and compromised. And third, we've got national security issues. Look at our porous borders. Look at what's happening with illegal, undocumented immigrants. We've got construction mafias, water mafias, criminal syndicates that are running our governments. You can imagine what is happening with GBV and crime in our communities in the rural areas. And then we're looking as well at things like the leadership instability. You've seen the handling of the budget. The GNU is constantly fighting. We don't know whether we're moving left or right, which policies we're implementing. And we just don't have the right leadership to steer this country. There's no economic recovery plan. Look at all the mismanagement of the economy. Youth unemployment, we are stagnating, we are not growing. There's just a litany of issues that have brought this motion about. And what I'm describing now is not an MKP thing. It is felt by each and every citizen of this nation. This motion of no confidence is about performance management of the presidency and the president himself. If we're all objective and fair, and if all the MPs and the parties in parliament can actually put their money where their mouths are, we debate every day on these issues. But now it's time to vote on them, to really do a performance management on the president in a fair manner, irrespective of your T-shirt, and tell us if you think President Ramaphosa, from the 6th term to the 7th term, has performed. Has he delivered on his promises? Do we have a country that we're all prospering? Are we living in clean, safe cities? Do our children go to school and feel safe? Do we have running water? Do we have electricity? It's really what this motion of no confidence is all about. We don't need a national dialogue that costs us 700 million. This is where we are going to have a national dialogue for free in parliament, where people that represent South Africans, churches, traditional leaders, all society, the vulnerable, the disabled, they're represented in parliament. We must all come together and talk about, are we in a country that we have voted for, that we have fought for? Do we have the right men steering this country in the right direction? That's what it's all about. Forget that it was brought about by MK Party. Even DA themselves in GNU, they keep saying we won't vote for these corrupt ministers. We're not going anywhere. Now it's time for them to show that.
Yeah. And I mean, Colleen, it doesn't end there, right? For the MK Party on Wednesday, we do know that the Constitutional Court will hear your urgent motion. And that is, of course, to ensure that the decision by President Cyril Ramaphosa to place uMkhonto on special leave is declared invalid or unconstitutional. How ready are you as the MK Party to ensure that the Constitutional Court hears your matter?
We've been ready. We've been ready for this matter, and we are glad that it's sitting. And we have actually advanced our reasons before. Constitutionally, the president's decision is flawed. He has flawed constitutionally, and he should have fired uMkhonto. You cannot sit with 3 ministers as a country and 3 police ministers that we don't know what they are doing at the moment. So Senzo has serious allegations and things that he must answer to. He should have been fired, and then president can appoint a minister in his place. And the appointment of Kachalia is also flawed. So we want the president to just do the right thing and for once be decisive and it really take South Africans serious and make decisions and judgment calls that serve the country, but not seek to protect him and shield him from accountability.
Colleen, thank you so much for your time this evening. That's MK Party Chief Whip in Parliament, Colleen Makhubele, just giving us insight in terms of that motion of no confidence against the President, as well as other matters, including that one that will be heard on Wednesday by the Constitutional Court.